Hey guys, Katie Huller here with KidsCanReadAndWrite.com. Today I want to talk to you about how to help your kids spell their first words. Now, you might have taught them how to spell their names already, or maybe cat or dog or something like that, but you might be having trouble getting them to write other words that they haven't memorized. Well, that's what I want to help you with today. I want to help you understand what it takes to write simple VC and CVC words. If you're with me the other day, we talked about CVC just stands for consonant-vowel-consonant words. So where you have a consonant, a vowel, and a consonant. Remember, a consonant is anything other than a vowel. And then VC words are just vowel consonant. So the ones that start with a vowel and then have a consonant. And what's really important about the first words is you want to stick with words that make regular sounds. Just the regular sounds you've taught your kids the letters of the alphabet make. So don't go with any crazy blended sounds or what I call tricks like SH, CH, TH, any of those. Of course, those wouldn't be CVC or VC words, but I just want to warn you. That's a whole different ballgame, and we'll talk about that later. But today, I just want to talk about simple words, just those 2 and 3 letter words that you might be going, I've been trying, but they just don't get it. Sometimes I would get kids who came to me for testing, and they would just write their favorite letters for words. Or sometimes they would try to sound it out, but they just didn't know the right letters or sounds, so they didn't get it right. So let's talk about what do kids absolutely have to know to write these 2 and 3 letter words. Well, first things first, they have to know their letters and sounds. If they don't know letters and sounds yet, that's really where you need to focus. Now, you can help them learn letters and sounds while doing this. They don't have to be perfect at it. But if they don't have enough letters and sounds down yet, I really would just play alphabet puzzles, read alphabet books, make alphabet cookies, play with alphabet tub tiles, refrigerator magnets, whatever, do apps, but get them knowing their letters and sounds. And when I say knowing their letters and sounds, I mean out of order, not singing the alphabet song, but like you can point to a letter, they can say, oh, that's O-R, that's D-D-R, that's W-Y, whatever. But they need to know the letter and the sound very quickly. So if your kids know their letters and sounds already, then this is for you. Next step is helping them to read words and write words that use the regular letters and sounds we taught them. So if they were reading this, they would go up, up. Or if they were reading this, they would say at, at. If they were reading this, it, sit. So if they're able to read words, then I like moving into the spelling right away. I don't like leaving spelling for after kids can learn to, for after kids can read. I like doing this spelling along with the reading lessons. That way they're growing in both ways at the same time. So what I would do if I just taught them to read these words is I would also teach them to spell them. If I'm calling out words, remember, they have to know the letters and sounds. They also have to be able to picture the letter when they hear the sound. Now, this is a whole new skill that you might not think about. You might not think that's hard, but this is harder than reading because when I'm reading the word, I'm looking at the letters and remembering, oh yeah, he's the one who gets punched in the stomach, up, right? I can get little hints from those letters. When you call out the word up for me to write, and if I have dyslexia or some other learning issue that makes it harder for me to learn things, that's a whole different ballgame. Even if I don't have any issues, it's a whole different ballgame. I have to learn how to do that. So when you say the word up, I hear up, okay? But what I need to hear is up. Do you see the difference? So if you just say up and your kid has no idea what to do, you've got to teach your child how to break that word into sounds, because up doesn't sound like a letter sound that we've taught yet, right? So what you want your child to hear is the and then the p. We want to separate them, right? We want to help your child hear that up is made out of and p. Up, like that. So when you call it out, you can say, okay, see if you can write the word up. Do you hear what's first? Let's listen to it together. Up. What did you hear first when I started saying the word? Up. And if they say P because I hear that last sound, P, go back. Oh, listen to the first thing I say. What letter says why did you punch me? And see if they can say U. Then see if they can write it. Now remember, they've just done a really hard thing about figuring out which letter said Now they have to do another hard thing, which is remembering, well, how do you write that? These kids haven't been here that long. They haven't had that many experiences. This is not an easy thing. But it's a great time to teach handwriting too. So you can use lined paper, or you can just use regular. But you want to teach your child, if they say, I don't know how to make that, just show them. Go, make a smile. And show them where to start. Start at the top of letters. Come down and up. So there's a smile, and then you go straight down. And that's your U. So this is a great time to teach handwriting. So now you say, look, we have our and I'm going to draw that arrow underneath, just like when they were reading it. Let's see what we hear next. Up. Did you hear what came after that? See if they can tell you. Ooh. P. Once I can tell you P, go great. Now the P is the exact same size as the U. So we're going to put our pencil the exact size we want it and go straight down, 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 down. And if you have lined paper, this really helps because they can see how far to go down. And then we're going to do the circle part. Notice these should be the same bottom size, same top size. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but try, because you want to teach your child early on how to write neatly. Makes everything easier. So that, and then after you finish writing it, go back. Let's see what we wrote and sound it out. Up, up. Did we do it? Up. And be super excited. Now here's the thing. A lot of times we make reading and writing really boring. It should be exciting. We should be excited. When they do it correctly, we should be super excited. Even if we help them through it, we should be excited, just like we were excited when they first started walking or talking or doing anything else. This is a big deal. Make it a big deal. Make it a really fun thing. Say, oh, great job. Let's try another. And then call out another word. Let's say we do at, right? We call it out, at. Remember, to them, it just sounds like one thing, at. So we have to stretch our vowels so they can hear it. Say, listen carefully. See what I say first. At. And see if they can tell you that first sound. What was it? At. That's the ah sound. How do we make an ah? That's A. So we're going to make the circle and then do the straight line next to it. And notice how I can teach handwriting while I do this. All right, so then you say, okay, listen carefully. We have our ah. And if you want to draw the arrow, you can, or you can just drag your finger. At. At. See if they can tell you what says T. If they tell you T, go, great job. Now T's a tall letter, so we're going to let him be tall. Stop on that bottom line. And we cross him right where the little guys go. And I can fix it up. You can show them, oh, I think I went too far. I'm going to fix it, make it look good. So they get used to making it look good, right? At. and then you can check it and see how you did. All right, when you get to the 3-letter words, it gets a little more complicated because now we're not just doing that vowel into the next sound. Now we're doing 3 sounds. So now when I say sit, can you spell sit? Again, we're trying to emphasize. Can you hear the first sound? Sit. Sit. You have to help them listen to that first sound that's coming out of your mouth. So when you say sit, see if they can say s, and see if they can identify what letter that is. Remember, this is hard because instead of getting clues by looking, they're having to retrieve everything from their own head. Now, if your child has retrieval issues or if it's really hard to learn letters and sounds, this is going to be hard. You might want to have an alphabet chart up where they can look at it and pick out the right letter. Or maybe you want to have little magnets out, letter magnets out, where they can pick it out and put it in a line first. But once they put it in a line, do teach them how to handwrite it also. One, we don't want them scared of writing. We want it to be fun. If you want to make it more fun than just pencil and paper, try dry erase markers and dry erase boards. A lot of kids love that. They can pick the colors and do all that, and it's more like playing. But do have them write it and teach them how to form the letters correctly. Remember, for almost all the letters, we start at the top of the letter. We decide how tall it is. It's either short or it's tall. We decide if it's short or tall, start there, and then, keep going. But always start at the top, except for I think E. I'll tell you if I think of another letter that's like E. E starts in the middle, but most letters start at the top. So anyway, if you're calling out sit, so you say, do you hear it? Sit. What does it start with? Sit. And if they say S, whether they picked it out or whether they just got it from their heads, great job. Remember, praise, praise, praise. And then ask them what an S looks like. See if they can make it. Now, kids who are just starting to write often have a lot of trouble making a lowercase s because it's not supposed to be huge. It has to be little. So you have to teach them how. And what you can do is you can say, oh, you make a little C in the air, and then you make a backward C. And that usually helps a lot because they have to learn to make a little tiny C and then the backward C. But that helps them get the direction of the S, because otherwise for kids with any kind of processing, visual processing, an S is really challenging. Now I'm going to make mine, I think, a little bigger for our purposes. So I'm going to do a little bigger C and a backward C, like that. All right, so after they get that drawn, then ask them to listen carefully. And you're going to go, S, I. What do you hear next? Have them say, oh, that's the ice cream falling off. The eye. And say, very good. So we're going to touch how tall the eye should be right there. And we're going to go straight down. Stop at the bottom line or at the bottom, whatever you've created, and then put the ice cream falling off the cone. There you go. Now you go for that last letter, but you want to point back here. S, it. What do you hear next? And you ask them and see, what sound is that? They say, oh, that's a T. All right, is T short or tall? It's tall. All right, let's do it. We're going to put it how tall he's going to be. Straight down. Stop at the bottom. Cross it. Where are these short letters end? So now you can read over it. Let's see how we did. S, it. S, it. What is it? Sit. All right, so are you getting the idea? The biggest thing is, remember, your kids have to do a lot of thinking for this, and it's not easy. So don't just say sit and expect them to get it if they're just starting out now. Once they get used to breaking words up and putting the sounds down, then you can just call out the word and they'll be fine. But in the very beginning, you have to really stretch out the sounds so they can hear them. You're like slowing it down. So I'll tell you a story. I'm trying to learn Spanish right now. I never took Spanish in school, so I don't know anything about Spanish. I'm using one of the apps that teaches you Spanish, but they'll say things and they say them so fast, I have no idea what they're saying. I have auditory processing issues. I need it slowed down. So I'm always hitting the button that's like slower. So then they say it slower, and I'm like, oh, that's what they're saying. That's what you need to be doing for your kids when you're teaching them how to write initially. And you want to make sure that they're understanding that words are just sounds stuck together and that you can separate them, or you can look at those letters and you can make the sounds. It's all a code. So if you know the code, you can write words. And that's how fun you want to make it for kids. You want to make sure, I'm going to teach you a secret code. It's the English language. It's so fun. When you know the code, you can read words. When you know the code, you can spell words. It's so fun. Make it fun. Don't make it hard. Don't make it a task. Make it fun. All right, so let's try this one. Maybe you have a bunch of words that they can sound out in a bag, and you let them pick one and hand it to you or something, so that you're not caught off guard. Maybe they're all folded so they can't see the letters when they pull it out, and you look at it and you go, okay, let's spell the word 10. 10. So we're going to listen to the sounds, right? 10. So when you say it, what's the first thing you need to do? Slow it down for them. So 10. 10. Do you hear what goes first? 10. And you might have to say it several times, because unlike up and at and sit, 10 doesn't have a sound at the beginning you can stretch. It stops, right? 10. So when I say 10, I have to really 10. Do you hear it? So fast. 10. You might have to do that to help them hear it. So that's like me pushing the slow motion button, right? So 10. So once they hear that, you can say, great. Is it short or tall? They say it's tall. Great. They're already learning. Make that tall line, cross it in the middle. All right, now you say, listen again, and stretch out the next sound. But remember, point as you go. So you're going to go t, eh. What goes here? T, eh. Eh? You can do hand signals to help them retrieve letters, to know what they need to put. But the key is you're just helping them understand how we can break up words and represent those parts with letters. So if they say, oh, that's Granny, say, very good. Now to make E's, you would think you would start here, but you don't. You start here. In the middle, from the middle to the bottom, you start in the middle. So you go across, then you do a C. Okay, so make sure you teach them, do Granny's ear first, then her hand around her ear. Or do the line, then do a C. But again, you're trying to help your child learn how to write these letters and spell at the same time. You can do both. So then you point back. Look, we have t, eh. And you can say, what would that say? You could say te. And then say, let's see what else we need. Let's say it. T, en. T, en. What do you hear when I get here? And have them tell you, oh, n, en. And if they come up with it, great, let's write an N. Is it short or tall? If it's short, I put my marker where, how tall I want it to be. I go straight down, and I climb up, and around. Like that. Now you're teaching handwriting, spelling, and you're reviewing letters and sounds. You're also teaching phonemic awareness. All sorts of good things go into this. You're teaching left to right, just all sorts of things. So then check it. See what your word says. T, en, t, en, t, en. And you might need to sound it out 3 times. A lot of beginning readers need to hear it several times, just like I do when I'm learning Spanish. I often play it over and over so I can hear it better each time, and then I can remember also what I need to write or put down or whatever. So give them the chance they need to hear it. Don't race through it. Don't get all anxious and rush. Don't expect your kids to just magically get it. This is a code, and it takes work, and it's like learning to walk. You don't tell your child, oh, you fell down 3 times, so you're not going to learn to walk, right? You just let them keep falling and falling and falling, picking themselves up, picking themselves up, picking themselves up until they can walk. And that's the same thing for learning to read and spell. Don't give up because it's hard. Keep going through it until they can hear it, until they can do it. Because just like learning to walk, learning to spell and read requires building muscles. You might not see them because they're not like obvious. It's in the brain, right? It's in the hearing, it's in the mind, all that. You have to give them time to build those muscles. So don't give up. It might take a while for your child if they're severely dyslexic or, have some other issue that's getting in their way, but that just means you need to do it slower and more times. That's all it means. I teach kids with issues all the time. Slow it down and do it more. That's your magic recipe. As long as you're doing the right things, slow it down and do it more. So let's do one more word together. Pot. So you call it out. Pot. And then what do? Ask your child, listen carefully. Pot. Pot. What do you hear first? Pot. Pot. See if they can hear it. If they say pee-pa, great. Let's write it. Is it short or tall? Short, but it goes under the line. Make sure they know that. So we start with the panhandle for a P, then we draw our pan or our pot, whichever you want to say. All right, so this is the word pot. So we have our P. Now we need our ought. P, aw, aw. You can help them. Aw. What letter is that? Oh, that's a mouth wide open. And this is where, if you've taught them the little vowel tricks like I've done in the other videos, it really helps them because they have some visual to remember each sound by. The other thing is make sure you are making your vowel sounds correctly. You really have to be making them clearly and correctly for your child to write the words correctly. So if you need help clearing up your vowel sounds because maybe you have an accent or a dialect thing going on, work on correcting that so your child can hear the right sounds, especially if they have any learning issues. That's important. But it's important for anyone because how on earth would you know what to write unless you memorized it if you don't hear the sounds? So, ought. You say, what was that sound? Ought. And they say, Tita, is it short or tall? Tall. All right, write the line, cross it. Let's see if we got the word and make it like a fun game. Let's see if we got it. Ought. 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 Pot. I like going over it 3 times with beginning readers and writers because a lot of times it takes that for them to hear it. But that's it, guys. Remember, they have to know their letters and sounds. They have to be able to retrieve them. They have to be able to take words and separate them, or you have to be able to do that to help them. And they also have to be able to write. But you can show them how as you do it. And you can do it together. You can have your board, they can have their board, you can do it together. Remember, slow is the best. Don't write it really fast, they won't see what you're doing. Talk about it as you do it. We're going to make a circle and then draw a line straight down. And watch them, make sure they're with you. Don't pass them because they might forget what you said. If they have memory issues, they're going to forget it within 3 seconds. So stay with them. Say, okay, put your pencil at the top or put your marker at the top. Go around And you can make it fun. You can say, let's play Ring Around the Rosie. Ring around the rosy, pocket full of posies, right? Like, you can make it fun. Make it a circle, you know, come up with whatever is fun for you or nice for you. But remember, slow it down so your child can see what you're doing. Slow your sounds down, slow your writing down, slow the whole process down so they can have fun. This is not something to race through. This is not a race, you know, it's fun. So, hope this helps. If you need help teaching your child to read and write, I've made a program, Black Belt Reading, and you can find it at kidscanreadandwrite.com, or where it's really easy to find is at kidscanonlineacademy.com. Sorry, my bad. But you can find it there. It's called Black Belt Reading. It has videos for all the things like this that your kids need to know to learn to read and write. And you can just follow along week to week. It'll build slowly but quickly, you know, so that your child becomes a black belt reader by the end. So you go at your own pace, so whatever that is. You get to work at home. You don't have to drive anywhere. So it's a great way to teach your kids to read and write. If this is helpful for you, you might really like Black Belt Reading. It's full of words, sentences, just everything you need. Lots of videos for each one of me teaching. So it has everything you need. There are packets to print out and work through. If you work through those packets and get the work done, and you'll find week after week your child learns to read and write more and more and more. And by the end, they should be able to read pretty much anything that they see. That's how the program works. So let me know if you have any questions. Go to kidscanreadandwrite.com or kidscanonlineacademy.com for more information. Thanks so much for joining me today, guys. Hope to see you soon.